Hey guys, my name's Abigail,
I'm Peyton.
and we have our Peyton. You be smelling like up, dog.
What's up, dog?
Hey, what's up, dog?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Any first-time guests, raise your hand. So glad you're here. Cafe's on us. Find your leader, and they will bring you a free cafe card. Bibles are on the back table. For those that don't have one, it's just a free gift.
If you'll fill out the comm cards on your table or use the QR codes on the screens, fill out any prayer requests, anything you want us to know. Refresh Weekend is April 25th to 26th. More details will be following. And with that, you can go to Cafe.
Bring your scars and bring your shame. Every failure, every secret. Bring your fear that things won't change. Bring your dreams and bring your worries. Highest highs and lowest lows. Every hope you pin your heart on. Every hurt you can't let go. To the one whose name is healer, to the one who came to save, to the one whose love is stronger than the power of the grave. Come and raise your hallelujah to the God who overcomes. Lift your hands, lift your heart to the one. There is joy, sweet forgiveness, where the fountain mercy flows. Child of heaven, wait no longer. Hear the call, come back home. To the one whose name is healer, to the one who came to save, to the one whose love is stronger than the power of the grave. Come and raise your hallelujah to the God who overcomes. Lift your hands, lift your heart to the one. He is grace, He is peace, He is light, He redeems. Lift your voice, lift your eyes, give your praise, give your life to the one whose name is healer, to the one who came to save, to the one whose love is stronger than the power of the grave. Come and raise your hallelujah to the God who overcomes. Lift your hands, lift your heart to the one. Come and lift your hands, lift your heart to the one. Lift your heart to the one. Oh, the priceless gift you are to me. The mountain of my sin you washed away. Oh, the miracle you made of me. The shadow of my night you turned to day. And I'm in awe of how much you love me. I'm so in awe of how much you love me. I can't thank you enough. I can't give you enough for all you've done. You have loved last and final days are in your hands. Unthinkable that you would call me friend. The words that you deserve could not exist. And I'm in awe of how much you love me. I'm so in awe of how much you love me. I can't thank you enough. I can't give you enough for all you've done. You have loved me so much. You're more than enough. And I will live to worship you alone. 'Cause you are greater than any other love. You are greater than all the riches of the world. You are greater than anyone. And I will live to worship. I will live to worship you There's nothing that compares to you. No one can compare to you. There's nothing that compares to you. No one can compare to you. And I can't thank you enough. I can't give you enough for all you've done. You have loved me so much. You're more than enough. And I will live to worship you alone. 'Cause you are greater than any other love. You are greater than all the riches of the world. You are greater than anyone. And I will live to worship. I will live to worship you I'm not looking back to what once was. My vision ahead to where you are now. I know you have greater things for me. So with every step I believe it's a grand.
Hello, 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 Team Quest. How are y'all doing today? Hi, Abigail. That was horrible. Tristan's giving me a big thumbs down. All right, how y'all doing today? That was a little better. I've got a fun game for y'all. I'm going to go and tell you all the points. This game won't give you a chance to earn points, but I do have 2 games planned. So the first game, well, you won't get a chance to earn points, but the second one you will. But just an update for the points. In first place with 11 points is still High School Boys for the Bean Game. I hear you. I'll remember that. Kaylin, do me a favor. Come up here for a second. We'll keep this in mind for later. Second place, Junior High Boys with 4 points. Woo! Are there any? There's like 2 Junior High Boys in here. Woo! Third place is Junior High Girls with 3 points. And in last place, High School Girls with 0 points. Wow. You're going to be a volunteer for my first game. All right, for my first game, I need 4 boys who think they can work well together, who think they can work well with other people. Yeah, give me just those 4. Give me those 4. And then I need 4 girls who think the same. All right, these 4. Go for it. And then I need 3 more leaders. Jessica. Montana. Justin. Justin, Jessica, Kaylin, and Montana. Now that is true. You know what? Jessica, I see you hiding. I saw you. Is Cole over there? Cole, coming up for JB. Where'd Montana go? Montana. Congratulations. And then I need 3 judges. So one needs to be a leader. I need 1 judge to be a leader. You're just judging. You don't have to come up here at all. I need 1 leader to be a judge. Jeremy, you're just sitting there. Jeremy's 1. I need a high school boy to be a leader, Aiden. And then I need a high school girl. Dylan, you are not a high school girl. Boom. All right. You 3 are our judges. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give y'all something. It might be a letter. It might be a shape. It might be a random object. And you have to shape it out using your bodies. All right? So y'all can work. Y'all probably work amazing together, especially you 4. I expect great things. We'll start off pretty easy. Your first shape is a square. So whoever can make the best square. I will say, the judges have to be able to see it. The judges are sitting back there. So laying on the ground won't not work. The judges need to be able to see it. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. All right, judges. What's up? So, judges, I'm gonna go 1 group at a time, and I need y'all to hold up your finger. I'm gonna go 1 group at a time, and I need y'all to hold up your fingers 1 to 10, all right? So you're rating them out of 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. So let's take a look at the adult square. Wow, pretty good square. All right, that's zeros around the board. All right, what about the boys? 9, 9, 8. 2 9s and an 8. You guys get 5 seconds to try to do it again. 5, 4, 3, 2. For the girls. 5, 8, 6. Boys win the first round. All right. Y'all's second one. I want you to get creative with this. I want you to spell out a word. Any word. Spell it out. The adults are trying to figure out how to spell out Team Quest right now. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, judges, we're starting with the girls. What are we thinking? 9, 9, 9. 9's around the board. Wait, what did y'all spell? Let me see. Love? All right, I can see it. You good? All right. Boys, what did you spell out?
Hi.
They spelled out high. Judges, what do we think? 7, 8, 7, 9, 10. What do you do? Pick one. 8, 7, 8, 6. All right. You guys, you got to beat a triple. You got to beat a 999. What are you spelling out?
4.
Okay, they're spelling out the word 4. Jeremy seems confused. Judges, your score? Your score, judges? 2, 6, 2. All right. Girls win round 2. All right. No, last one. Last round. Last round. If the girls or the boys win, then they win the whole thing. If the if the leaders win, it's a three-way tie. You got to make a Q? Yeah, make a Q. A Q. I will let you choose uppercase or lowercase. Up to you, up to you.
What are you doing, dude? What are you? What is that? That's how they are.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Let's start with the boys. Judges, what do you think about the boys' Q? 877. All right. Is that 22? Mathematicians, 877. Is that 22? Probably. Girls, let's see it for the girls. What are we at? 0, 8, 6. All right. Boys are in the lead. A 6. So was it 6? What was yours? All right. That's not going to beat the 22, I don't think. The last one for the adults. What are we thinking? 7, 10, 10, 10, 3 10s. It's a three-way tie. All right, good job, everybody. Y'all can go take a seat. Get ready for the second game. Huh? It was a three-way tie. It was 1-1-1. All right. I do have another game for y'all. This one is going to involve everybody. So, how this will work. How this will work is you guys are going to come up and get a plate. Not right now. You're going to come up and get a plate. Leaders can play this too because I think it's funny. You're going to come up and get a plate. You have to put 5 fingers on the bottom of the plate. Not on the side of the plate, on the bottom of the plate. It's pretty simple. You can go anywhere in this area, except near the pool. Stay away from the pool. Last one with the plate in their hands wins. You can knock off other people's plates, but you cannot hold it. It's got to be 5 fingers on the bottom, just like this. No getting crazy with it. So I need everyone to come grab a plate for me. Whoa. There you go. Pass them out. There you go. Somebody. Leaders, if you want to play, you can. The winner of this will get 4 beans to their team. The winner of this will get 4 beans to their team. If you lose your plate, take a seat. No, you can use a free hand to knock down the plates. Boys, 5 fingers on the bottom. You can't hold it from the sides. Make sure that, no, you can't. It's got to be balancing. Nope, it's got to be balancing. That is. Move it around a bit. That's good. No, you cannot fold the plate. You got to balance it. No getting cheeky. No, their leaders are playing? Wow. Letting their teams down. Oh, just the boy leaders are playing? The girl leaders letting their team. That's why the high school girls have 0 points. Three boy leaders are playing, only 2 girl leaders. Wow. All right, everyone spread out. Get to your places. Game starts in 3. Wait. You can go anywhere. 3, 2, 1, start. If your plate falls, you take a seat. It looks like the girls have created a human wall. Ashley, you cannot grab the bottom of your plate. You have to balance it. Ashley, you have to balance it. You can't grab onto it. If you get out, take a seat. The girls' human wall still stands.
Hello. Okay, cool.
You can put it up here. No, I put it in different. Here. It's all right. I'll just put them in here. This is the bad plate file. Oh man, high school boys are taking out high school boys. Just a reminder, there can only be one winner. There's a lot of high school boys left. Oh, they're marching. Oh no, they're on the attack. Hi, girls, if you do not have a plate, you got to go take a seat. If you don't have a plate, you have to take a seat. Is it only high school boys left? There can only be one winner. Yeah. There can only be one winner. It may just be high school boys, but still, only one person can win. There is about 6 or 7 people left. Oh, Noah got betrayed. Not yet. All right, if you're still in, come to this front row for me. If you're still in, come to this front row. Tristan, Aaron, if you're still in, come to this front row. Wyatt, this front row. The last 4, it looks like. Oh. Whoa. Oh! His own small group. Uh-oh. All right, here we go. Last 2. If you're rooting for Tristan, let's hear it. Wow. If you're rooting for Blair, let's hear it. Oh, no. Stay in the front row. Oh, no. Where is he going? 5 fingers. This dance. Tristan, 5 fingers. Oh! That's game. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed. I was going to give away candy to the winners, but I honestly don't know what to do. So, you know what? This table, there you go. All right. Hope y'all enjoyed. Enjoy the rest of Teen Quest. Bye-bye.
Test.
So,
Everybody goes wrong.
James is notorious for doing that, and he got people on Sunday morning. So no joke, there's a singer famous
Hi, Abigail.
a long time ago. Or no, Renee, a singer named Renee. And he tapped her on the shoulder like, go, go, go. She walked all the way out to her mic while Jim was preaching right here. She realized nobody else walked out and checked her mic or whatever and took her mic back like she was something wrong with it. She's like, I hate you.
I remember I started talking when they turned on the mics. Like I didn't know they turned it on, but they did. For real. Same time. We have to go same time.
Hey, Teen Quest, y'all come sing with us. Hold the future in your hands. You know my dreams and you have a plan. And as you light my way, I'll follow you. My eyes on all of the above. My soul secure in all you've done. My mind's made up. You are the only one for me. Jesus, Savior in my life, you are everything. My future decided, I will praise your name. I know that I am yours. I know that I am yours. With all the earth in your hand, you are the rock on which I stand. And as I live each day, I'll follow you. Eyes on all of the above, my soul secure in all you've done. My mind's made up, you are the only one for me. Jesus, Savior in my life, you are everything. My future decided, I will praise your name. I know that I am yours. Yes, I know that I am yours. Yours. Unafraid, unashamed, Lord, we know who we are. We are your people and we won't be silent. Unified, hear us cry at the top of our lungs. You are God and we won't be shaken. Unafraid, unashamed, Lord, we know who we are. We are your people and we won't be silent. Unified, hear us cry at the top of our lungs. You are God and we will not be shaken. Jesus, Savior in my life, you are everything. My future decided, I will praise your name. I know that I am yours. decided I will praise your name. I know that I am yours. Yes, I know that I am yours. And I know that I am yours. Yes, I know that I am yours. Praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all of the praise. Sometimes you gotta praise in the prison, cry out to heaven, shout it to the doors. Sometimes you gotta stand on your shackles, brave in the battle, worship with your hands held high. I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all of the praise. Give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all of the praise. Blessings day and night, countless reasons why I'll praise you anywhere. Every promise kept, goodness every step, each and every breath. I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all of the praise. I'll praise you anywhere. Mountain or valley, I know that you're with me there. I'll praise you anywhere. Thank you. You can proceed for the message.
Y'all give it up for the band again. They did amazing as always. So, as we continue this series, No Compromise, Pure Living, we're talking about relationships tonight. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, why is the old bald guy up there talking about relationships? Well, we looked at the teachers, and Jeremy was like, all right, who wants to do dating? And I was like, I haven't dated in nearly 6 years since me and my wife have been married. Jeremy's like, it's been longer than that for me. Ben was like, it's been way longer than that for me. We all looked at Cole, and I was like, all right, I'll do it, guys. That's fine, you know. If you don't know, I'm Joel. So I have been married for almost 6 years now to the Miss Beautiful Brienne back there. So I got some idea about dating because I managed to get a woman who is way too good for me, way too smart to have ever dated or married me. But, so we're going to talk about some principles, setting up these boundaries is what we've been talking about. And when I think of boundaries, I work for Dallas Fire and Rescue, and a term that comes to my mind is IDLH. Now, who has a guess of what IDLH stands for? Anybody? It's okay. I don't like hamburgers, maybe. Anybody else?
Do you mean Dallas?
Huh?
Do you mean Dallas?
No.
Darn it.
All right, Cole just started Fire Academy. He's like 2 weeks in. Let's see if he knows anything. Yes, so immediate or inherent danger to life and health. And so that is what we call any area that we work in. So if we go into a fire, anything like that, we call it an IDLH. And so it's an area that if you go into, there's a possibility that you die or you have some poor outcome. And the big thing we hear this around is when we deal with chemicals. And so Ben's not here tonight. Ben is a hazmat tech for Dallas, if you didn't know. That he also is on Dallas Fire Rescue. He is specifically trained to deal with any hazardous material, radioactive material, any chemicals that spill. And when they do, we call that an IDLH. And we set up these barriers around those to keep us safe. And depending on your level of training, that's how close you get to those things. We call them, behind their backs, we call them glowworms because we think, if Ben's in a dark room and you cup your hands, he might glow from all the weird stuff that he's been around. But people like me, we are more than happy to call Ben to come deal with those things because it's out of our scope. We have a book, though, that tells us where our boundaries should be. So we get there, and let's say whatever our spill is, somebody has some kind of unknown chemical, and it ends up spilling over here. Well, it's supposed to have labels. It may be a 55-gallon drum, a big tanker trailer that's on fire. There's some kind of chemical coming out. We have a book called an ERG that tells us, hey, this is how far you should set up from this. This is how dangerous it is. There's anything from, it can cause you to have some cough and sickness. You may, have some headaches, stuff like that. To there's materials that if you come in contact with it, it'll melt your skin off. And so we are very much like, hey, I'm going to keep my distance from that. And this book tells us where to set these things up. And so if this is my IDLH, our first boundary we set up is called the hot zone. And so people like me show up. We're like, hey, I don't want to deal with whatever chemical this is. So we'll set up a barrier. And depending on what kind of chemical it is, what the issue is, this barrier may be a few feet. This barrier may be a few hundred miles, depending on how big the incident is, what type of material it is. And what this hot zone is, that means that you don't go in there unless you have the special training like Ben does. That means anything inside this area, if the wind shifts, if it changes, if that all of a sudden catches on fire, the fumes it puts off, if you are not trained well, if you're not in the right gear, it'll cause health hazards. It could kill you. And so we don't go in there. We set up this solid boundary, and we're like, hey, we're not crossing that. The next zone you set up is called the warm zone. And so that's where guys like me will kind of operate, where it's like, hey, here, based on where we set up the hot zone, this is pretty safe. Like, you can walk around here. You need to be cautious and aware that that's over there. If the wind shifts, if something drastic happens, all of a sudden, this area could become the hot zone, but for right now, it's safe. And so we set up a barrier, but it's a little bit easier to get through. Like I said, guys like me will go in and out of it. And then anything on this side of it is called the cold zone. Outside here, there's very little threat. It's almost none. It's so far away. Like I said, this cold zone may be miles and miles away from wherever that situation is. It may be a few hundred feet. It may be this distance, depending on what it is. But we set up these barriers. And so when I was thinking about relationships and how we should go about our relationships and where we should set up boundaries, this is kind of what popped into my mind, is this idea of like, okay, we'll break it down into zones. Okay, well, what would our IDLH be? Well, the Bible clearly tells us. In 1 Corinthians 6:18, it says, run from sexual sin. No other sin so clearly affects the body as this one does, for sexual immorality is a sin against your own body. And so what we would set up as our IDLH is a physical relationship outside of marriage. It's pretty simple. If you're a Christian, what we believe is that, hey, outside of marriage, you're not supposed to have a physical relationship, that you wait till marriage, that special equipment, that special training that you need is marriage, is a wedding ring. And so when you cross the zone without those things, you're entering an area that's dangerous to your life and health. We know in other places it says that sin leads to death. And so if this is a sin that clearly affects your body, has negative effects, it's bad for your health, and then we know for sure that sin leads to death, why would we want to go into this area? but it's so tempting. Sometimes we think, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal, and we end up crossing these because we don't put up solid barriers. We haven't decided, hey, where are we going to set this? We haven't said, for sure, I'm not crossing this line. I'm not prepared to. I'm not trained to. That's going to have problems for me. So, but I don't want to spend all day talking about that. I know you've heard that before, wait till marriage, stuff like that. So what I want to talk about is these two other zones, is what do they look like? How can we prepare ourselves and set up well for these zones? And so at the very end, there's a photo of our IDLH kind of set up. And so, like I said, you have your hot zone, warm zone, and then your cold zone. So we're going to start from the outside in, and we're going to start with our cold zone. And so the cold zone is what we would probably call, and what's negatively known as the friend zone, right? How many of you have heard the term the friend zone? How many of you have been put in the friend zone before, right? Like, very often for me. But we think of it negatively so often. You're like, oh, I'm in the friend zone. But this is where you should spend the majority of your time. This is safe. This is where there's no pressure. This is just you and a friend hanging out. And if you stay here and prepare, it's a great place to be. You see, we so often, especially with you guys, I hear it, y'all want to rush into this, oh, we're in a relationship, we're dating. But in that ERG, that book that I talked about that we use that helps us set up these boundaries, one of the first things it says is do not rush in. Know what you're going up against. Know what's happening. The person that you're entering this zone to, you should know, do we have the same goals? Do we have boundaries set up in the same way? Do we have the same ideas of what we're going to do, what we're willing to do, what we're not going to do? And so often, I hear people, you're here, and you're like, oh my gosh, we both like the color purple, and we both have this favorite Sabrina Carpenter song, and he loves espresso, and he's probably lying, or she's not lying because she wants you to like them. They say things that, okay, well, I know they like this, so I'll say I'm interested in that. They're probably not. Me and my wife, on our first date, I was like, hey, let's go see a movie. Now, recommendation, a movie is a terrible first date. Don't do it. You can't talk. You can't get to know each other. But it's what we did. We went to see a movie, and I was like, hey, would you like to go see a movie? She said yes. I'm like, hey, here are all the movies that are out. Any of them look good to you? She's like, I'm fine with anything. Well, one of the new Saw movies has come out. If you haven't seen them, very gory, very specific crowd that likes these movies. I said, well, the one I want to see is the Saw movie, but I get if you don't. And she was like, no, I'd love to go see it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Assuming that she wanted to go see it and that she had seen the other ones. We went to this movie. She later told me had never seen any of the other ones, hated that type of movie, but she was willing to go because she wanted to hang out with me. All she had to do was say, I don't want to see that movie, would have seen anything else. But we're so often, we want to impress the people. I did the same thing. There were things she talked about that I'm like, oh, I love that. I had no idea what she was talking about. I would say what I need to engage her and have this conversation. And so what you need to do is spend time here getting past that, getting past this beginning stage of I'll say whatever it takes and really get to know a person. You're so quick to want to rush into here, but when you take time here getting to know a person, hey, what are your goals in life? What do you want to be in 10 years? Most of you are in high school. You don't know what you want to do with your life. There's no point to rush into a relationship when you can just have friendships. It's fine to have a friend that's a female when you're a guy, or a girl and have a guy friend that you hang out with, and go out and hang out, just the two of you, but say, hey, we're just friends. In high school, I had several females that in Teen Quest that I was close to. That's what we did. We realized we weren't good in relationships. We never dated. We just got to know each other and we're like, hey, we have a lot of fun hanging out as friends, but we wouldn't work here. But it's cool right here. We went and hung out all the time. We had different things. One of them, we would just yell at each other in the car. Wherever we were driving to, we would get in and yell about our problems. She would yell at me about how she hated her parents. They were so mean to her and they were so controlling. And I would yell, yeah, my football coach isn't giving me enough playing time on the field, and I think it's dumb that I'm behind this guy. So we would yell at each other, get all our frustrations out, and then we'd go bowling or go to have dinner or whatever. And then it was fun. We got all our frustrations out, had a good time. We never moved past this zone, though, because we took the time to get to know each other and said, hey, this is where we should stay. We're good friends. We wouldn't work here, though, because we got past this, oh, I like this color. I like this. I like that, too. We got to, hey, what are your goals in life? Where have you set your boundaries at? What's your involvement in church? What is your ideas? What are some things that you value? What are some goals that you have? Do you want to have, as you get older, you may ask, hey, do you want to have a family? Do you want to have kids? Do you plan to live here? Do you want to move to another state? These are things you should know here instead of finding out here. So often we just want to know what's your favorite color, what's your favorite food. Cool, we like same things, we'll jump here, and then all of a sudden, all our plans in life, all our goals, they're nothing alike. We're going in opposite directions. We have different boundaries. We have different things that we want to accomplish that don't line up. And now all of a sudden we're upset with this person that, hey, the goals and things you had in life don't line up with what I had, but we like the same colors. We like the same songs. We like these different things for the week that we talked, and now we're here, and now it's all falling apart, and it's terrible and dramatic. And all you had to do was just say, hey, let's just hang out a couple times. Let's get to know each other. Tell me about yourself. Get past this superficial, what do you know? And then you may find out, hey, I have a lot of fun hanging out with you. You're a great person. We have great conversations, but where you've set your boundaries out, they don't line up with what I want. What you want in life don't line up with the things I want. The way you talk, the way you act, the way you are with your parents or your other friends are not things that I want in a relationship. I can be friends with you and we can hang out, but I don't think we should move past this point. And guess what? You don't lose a friend. A lot of times you rush into this zone, find out these things. Now it's like, oh, we dated, so it's weird between us. We can't be friends anymore. When it was a person you enjoyed hanging out with. And so take your time here. So often we think of relationships as God wants to box us in, but it's the opposite. Out here is the rest of the world. God says, put a zone around these things, put a zone around this, and then the rest of the world is for you to go have fun with. Know where your boundaries are. Box in the things that are going to set out to destroy you, the IDLHs, the things that will take life from you, and enjoy the rest of it. And life is good on the fire ground. If me and the guys are working together, we've got the same goals, we've communicated well, we know what we're doing, things go excellent. But we've all seen on the news, you've seen it before, I've been on incidences where guys weren't communicating well, things weren't talked about well, people had different plans, weren't working well together, and things went horribly wrong. People got hurt, people have died from it because they rushed in, they didn't know what they were doing, they didn't take the time here to come up with a good solid plan, a good solid foundation, rushed in, and now all of a sudden it all fell apart. So what we want to do is stop worrying about, oh, I'm in the friend zone, and be like, cool, I'm in the friend zone with this person. I'm going to take the next little while to hang out with them, get to know them. Should we move on? And then guess what? It turns out, cool, we've known each other for a little bit. We've talked. Guess what? They love God. They love their family. We have the same zones. We've set up these same boundaries. Our ideas of what we want out of this relationship are very similar. Cool, now we're going to take this next step. We've known each other well. We've got to know each other. We know more than superficial things. So we're going to move into this warm zone, which is kind of the dating or relationship zone. And in this zone, it should be easy and fun. All the hard work should have been done here. All the differences, all the things that you want should have been done here. So you get in here, you're like, cool, we're moving on the same path. We have the same goals. We've set our boundaries up in the same place. And so we should go through this area pretty effortlessly. If this is hard, if this is difficult, if you're struggling and you're like, man, we're constantly butting heads, we're not working well together, back out. Don't keep trying to push forward or get stuck in this zone, in this relationship that is uncomfortable, weird. Dating should be easy. You're not tied together. You don't have finances together. If you've done things well, you don't have kids together. You don't have a life together. You're two people that are like, hey, we were friends. We started to date. It got a little uncomfortable, a little weird. So often people try to push through and think, oh, we'll just keep going and it'll fix itself, when it's like, hey, why don't we back up and either stop, reassess, come up with a new plan, see if we can make it work together, or just completely back out and say, hey, you and I can't work in this zone together. This isn't going to work. We're not supposed to go into this butting heads, arguing, fighting, and pushing to this ultimate goal, like I said, that should be marriage. That's not going to fix things. The problems here don't disappear just because you got here. The problem is that way. Things are going to get harder that way. Talk to anybody that's married. Marriage is much harder than dating because you have more problems together. You have things together. If you're fighting here while dating when it should just be fun, you're not going to fix it by pushing forward. The way you're going to fix it is by saying, hey, this isn't working. Let's back up, come up with a new plan. This zone should be fun. This should be a time that, hey, we know a lot about each other, but let's really get to know each other. And let's really connect and get to grow together and decide, hey, if this did go on, what would our future look like? What are things that you want? What are things that I want? Where would we want to live? What are these type of things? Versus, hey, let's get here and then just rush past. No, still take your time. Get to know each other. Get to grow closer and closer to each other. And then decide, where is this barrier? How comfortable am I willing to get? The further away from the IDLH you put it, the safer you are. If you set it a little too close, and like I said, all of a sudden, the winds change. All of a sudden, you get a little tempted. All of a sudden, you're alone in a room that you shouldn't be. All of a sudden, things get a little uncomfortable. Well, guess what? You may have found yourself a little too close to this IDLH. Your boundaries should have been back here, but all of a sudden you're here with this person. You need to clearly define these, set them up, and know, hey, we're not crossing those, and put them as far away as you can. And that looks different. I'm not going to tell you exactly what that should look like, whether for you that's holding hands, kissing, whatever it is. You need to decide, where am I comfortable drawing the line? How far do I want that boundary to be? The further it is, the better. And so one thing, though, with this purity idea that I think a lot of times is that we think, oh, if I've crossed this boundary, if I've made these mistakes, I'm no longer pure. And that's just not true. God says he forgives everything. He makes everything new. He can forgive every sin. He washes everything new. And so if you've made mistakes, it's never too late to, again, just back out and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to come back here. I'm going to reassess. I'm going to reset some boundaries. I'm going to redecide how I want my relationships to look. I'm going to redecide who I'm going to enter these zones to. That's what this is all about, is that you don't have to go here and get stuck here. You're not stuck here if you've made mistakes, and you're not stuck here if you've made mistakes. At any point, you can say, hey, God, this isn't working out. I'm going to back up to where it's safe, where it's comfortable. I want to reassess. I want to redecide how I want things to look. And from here, it's easy. A lot of times we try to fix things from inside the ideal age, where it's dangerous, where we're having all these issues going on, instead of backing up to where it's safe and saying, okay, hey, let's reset, let's reevaluate, because I don't like the way things are going in there. And that's what we do on the fire ground, is when things aren't working there, we say, hey, we're going to back up. We're going to pull back, come up with a new plan, reassess, and then we'll go back in. And so don't be afraid to back out. And don't think, well, I've already made mistakes. God doesn't care that about me as much because I've made these mistakes. I've done things I shouldn't have, so I'm valued less. That's not true. You are more valued than anybody because God created you specifically. He loves you more than anything, and nothing changes that. And so then you may be like, well, what's the point, Joel? If God will forgive me if I cross into that zone, then it's not really a big deal, right? Like I can just kind of maybe dip my toe over here and cross it a little bit, and then I'll be like, okay, God, my bad. And then I'll go back over here again. And you think, well, no one really gets hurt. But I can tell you from experience, it can. And it does. And someone usually does get hurt. And a lot of times it's going to end up being you. The ideal age is dangerous to life and health, and it's your life and health that it's the most dangerous to. And so when you tiptoe into this zone, when you decide, hey, I'm not going to set these boundaries, it has negative consequences. It may not be immediate. It may be down the road. I made that mistake, is that all through high school, I did really well at this. I set up boundaries. And then in college, I started getting into relationships that I knew I shouldn't be in. That immediately, from the time I got to know them, there were red flags I should have known. I should have said, hey, there's no reason to cross this boundary. But I kept telling myself, I'm in control. It's okay. It's all right. I haven't made any mistakes before. I'll know when to stop. And I slowly crept into this zone with someone I knew I shouldn't be. And we slowly crept closer and closer and closer and closer. And we were at that point, we're kind of towing the line and kind of getting over the line a little bit. And luckily, before I ever did anything that really made things terrible, I was able to back up and say, hey, this isn't the life I want to live. The issue with that, though, is you're like, okay, Joel, sounds like no one got hurt. Well, cut to a little while later, I meet my wife. We're doing things the right way. We go out several times before we ever get into a relationship. We have some amazing, deep conversations. And I'm like, before we cross into this zone, I want her to know that I've made mistakes. From conversation, I had known she had never gotten close to that line. She had never tempted or been close to this. She set her boundaries up well and controlled herself and said, I'm waiting for the man that I'm going to marry, that I'm going to wait for him. I love him so much, even though I haven't met him. I'm not going to fool around with a bunch of losers. But then I had to look at her and say, hey, I love you. I'm crazy about you, but I didn't wait. I crossed that line. And it sucks to this day. It's one of those things she's forgiven me for. It still affects me to this day. Because I had to look her in the eyes and say, hey, I didn't love you as much as you loved me. And like I said, that was a hard moment because I was like, man, before we enter a relationship, before this amazing thing that we're right here, it may all fall apart because of mistakes I made, because I knew what I should do. I knew I'd raised up in Teen Quest. If you don't know, my dad's the lead pastor. I've been in Teen Quest, Kids Quest. I've sat on this stage. I've sat in the stage in Kids Quest and talked about it. I should know better than most. I should have these boundaries set up. But yet in the moment, the first time I'm fully tempted, it's like, man, I tiptoed across this line. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting here telling this amazing person that I'm crazy about you, but I made mistakes, and I fully understand if you don't want to commit to a relationship with me. because of mistakes I made back here. And it hurt, and I sat there, and I waited for a response. And luckily, she's not very smart, and she agreed to date me anyways. She's made 2 terrible decisions in her life. That was dating me and then marrying me. But again, in the moment I had that idea, I'm like, okay, cool. I tiptoed across that line. It's no big deal. It didn't hurt anybody. No one really got affected until all of a sudden it did. Those effects, when we talk about IDLH, some of those effects are very instant, are very obvious. When you talk about, you've all seen people probably who got into relationships and ended up pregnant and stuff like that and struggled and dealt with that. There are things that are very instant, and then there are things that may take a while to show. There's some things that you won't see till years down the road because you crossed it in this IDLH, and it's going to affect your health. There are going to be consequences for it, and it may not be till you meet that right person, and you have to look them in the eyes and be like, hey, I didn't wait. I didn't hold myself accountable like I said I would. I'm not the man I thought I was. I'm not the woman I thought I was. I wasn't as patient as I thought I was going to be. I didn't have the self-control that I thought I was going to have. And so while right now it may seem like, oh, there's no consequences, it's no big deal to be over here dancing around in this zone, there will be consequences. There are things. But if you take the time now, whether you've made mistakes or not, to set up here well, to come up with a plan, to slowly go into these zones, to not rush in, I promise you it just works out so much better. You will live a better, healthier life. You will have healthier relationships. You'll have deeper friendships with people that you thought, I just want to be in a relationship with them, and you realize, no, I just want them as a friend, and you can keep these friendships here. And then you can choose the select few that you're going to move into this zone with. And then eventually, hopefully one day, you find the one person you're going to cross into this next zone with. And so the big thing is setting up these boundaries, saying, hey, I'm going to set them up. This is a boundary that I'm going to get to know this person deeply before I ever move into this zone. And this is a boundary I'm not going to cross until I'm married. I'm going to set it up solid. And like I said, it can be hard. It can be tempting. You might make mistakes if you don't set it up well. If you don't know for sure this is where I set my boundary. If you don't sit here with the person that you're about to cross into this zone with and say, hey, do we have the same boundaries? Like I said, every time that I made mistakes, right here, I knew for sure our boundaries were set up differently. I knew immediately there were issues. There was no reason to go to this zone, but I was foolish, and I said, you know what? I'm going to rush in anyways and stepped into this zone. And again, it didn't fix problems. If there's issues here, they're not going to disappear here. And if there's issues here, they're not going to disappear the closer you get to here. And so as soon as you start seeing issues, it's like, hey, hold up, let's reassess, let's rethink this. Let me decide, am I going to cross this barrier with just anybody, or do I want it to be the right somebody every time? So I encourage you guys, this idea of living pure, having good, healthy relationships, whether it's in friendships or dating, is so important. And it all comes down to setting up these boundaries, saying this is where I'm not going to go. This is the hard lines I'm not going to cross, and making sure that people that you're going into these things with have the same goals. We'll acknowledge that. We'll respect your boundaries. Maybe their boundaries are a little bit different, but you set yours up a little bit further back. You've made a wider zone, and they're like, you know what? I think you're right. I'll respect that. But you need to learn it here. Don't rush into these relationships. There's no point to it. There are few people you should get into relationships with. When there's lots of people you can be friends with, there's a few you should go into this part with, and there should only ever be one that you cross that line into. So as you go out, you think about it in your relationships, where am I going to set my boundaries? How far do I want to be from that danger zone? Where am I setting my boundaries at now? How well am I getting to know the people I'm entering relationships with? If you're in a relationship, how well do you actually know that person? Where are their boundaries? What are the goals that y'all have? Do y'all's things actually align, or is it just a, hey, we both like a few certain things? Is it a deep relationship or a very superficial relationship? And the slower you progress through these things, the healthier relationships will be. I can tell you that because me and Brianne now almost married 6 years, because we did this right. We took our time slowly here, took our time here, got to know each other, knew we had the same goals. 6 years of marriage, we have never really fought. We were able to have good, healthy conversations. The only time we fought was playing D&D over an issue of Ice Night. That's not a lie. But we have been able to have 2 beautiful daughters and deal with the troubles of parenting and troubles of finances, but we've done it well because we've talked to each other. We grew together. We knew each other's goals and purposes. I know that Brienne wants the best for me before we ever got here, and she knows I want the best for her. So now that we're in this zone, even though it can be hard and struggle sometimes, and there's issues, and there's days you just want to give up, the person I've entered this zone with, I know has my back. I know they want what's best for me. They know I want what's best for them, and we can work together because our goals have always been aligned, and that hasn't changed here. We dealt with the issues here, so when we got to here, now we know how to work together. We're in the struggle, but we're like, hey, guess what? I've got your back. I love you no matter what. We're going to get through this together. And I can tell you from all the leaders that are in this that have done it, they can tell you that working together, coming together, getting to actually know each other, being married to your best friend, not just some person that you rushed into, makes things so much easier. And so it's so important to set these boundaries and choose well who you're going to let into these boundaries or cross these boundaries with. So let me pray for y'all real quick before we go to small groups. Dear Lord, thank you for this amazing opportunity to be up here and talk in front of these kids in this amazing building where it's just grown, Lord, that because of you, this church has grown and these kids get to show up, have an awesome place, awesome leaders that want to be involved. And I just pray as they think about this pure living, they think about where am I going to set my boundaries at? What relationships do I have now that maybe I need to pull back from? Or what relationships do I need to put a hold on and say, hey, we're not going to cross any further than where we're at? And just think about what do I want out of life? What are the type of people I want to cross these boundaries with look like based on who I know, what I want, who the people around me, Lord. And they just think about this so they can live a life abundant and that they don't get sucked into an area that's going to take life away from them, Lord. It's your name I pray. Amen. And then go to small group.